Welcome to the SpaHive podcast. We're your hosts, Julie Pankey
and MaryAnn, spa leaders, business strategists, and business besties who are pulling back the curtain on what it actually takes to grow a business and a life you don't secretly want to escape from.
This is where leadership meets honesty, where revenue meets relationships, and where we talk about the things no one puts on Instagram.
So, if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, or a high achiever who's building something meaningful, but also navigating team dynamics, burnout, boundaries, and big goals, you're in the right place.
No highlight reels, no sugarcoating, just real conversations, practical strategy, and a little laughter along the way. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to our SpaHive podcast. Today, we're excited for a special edition of our spring/summer book club. So if you've been following along, you know that we have read You Deserve to Know as part of our, I guess it's not summer, technically. Maybe it's
not
close.
Not technically summer.
So good morning, MaryAnn.
Oh, hi, Julie. Here I am. How are you?
You look all fresh and fabulous.
It's because I showered.
Oh, I can also tell that you put in your heatless.
No, these were created by heat.
They
baby,
were.
Heat.
You heat curled this early in the morning?
I did. Yep. I just did some big wand curlers, and then we'll see what it does today. Who knows? It'll go flat. It'll look amazing. Nobody knows. It's a guess.
Yeah, it's super humid, so could go either way.
You're right. Yeah, so we read You Deserve to Know by Aggie Thompson. It's a domestic suspense thriller about three close-knit suburban mom friends whose lives unravel after one of their husbands is murdered, following a weekly dinner party, exposing secrets, affairs, and betrayals within their seemingly perfect community. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't read it and you're like, ooh, that sounds really good, hit pause and go find the book, read it, and then once you're done, come back to us and you can discuss with us. We both read it really quickly. I think I read it in like 2 days. It was one of those hyperfixation books. Julie, you read it in like a week, which is super quick. So it's a page turner. Aggie Thompson has a few other books.
Did you say you started one of her other books?
Yes. I am reading another one of her books after it, which right now it's good. It's good. But this one was really good. I especially liked it because, the locale is DC suburbs, so they're based in Bethesda, Maryland. So that's always cool when you kind of know where the location is. And, it's set in this quaint little like cul-de-sac where the houses are probably, a fair amount of money. It actually reminded me a little bit of my sister where she lives. She lives in Northern Virginia, but can maybe be considered a DC suburb. If you ask her, it probably is. But
Isn't everywhere?
I know, right? My sister has, these homes are beautiful, right? They're very pretty and they all have this close-knit community there and they're all friends. And so it sort of reminded me of her. And so I kind of told her about it and she said it would be too intense for her to read. I said, it's not intense. It'd be fine, but.
Right. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I, in my lifetime, have no desire to live in a neighborhood like that because I do not like to connect with people that much. I like my privacy, you know what I mean? So it wasn't relatable for me. However, my stepdaughter and my sister-in-law live in neighborhoods like that, and they're like me. So they don't really engage with the people,
Sure.
like they still live in that kind of neighborhood, but it's like they don't get involved in, the HOA or, any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I liked it because, I like to dive into real like character development and character based books, I find. And so I feel like, well, our first question, was about, kind of keying it up. Did the Dateline framing and autofiction device work for you? And so right from, I feel like the get-go, for me, I was like, what is this? Like, this is based on a true story because, the author was a journalist as well. And so immediately I started to research, like, is this based on something that she actually reported on? Because a few people I talked to about this, they were like, "Oh, this sounds like, that case in Massachusetts, blah, blah, blah." I don't know if it was the like Holliston or I can't remember now, but, people were like, "Oh my God, this sounds like right out of like the headlines." So then it made me research it. And she says it's, like loosely based on stories that she's followed, as a journalist, but I don't think one particular story. So at first I just was like, what is this like intro, this Dateline intro? Because is it true? Is it not? What do they say? Like a historical fiction based
Right.
on loose facts. I don't know. So that confused me actually a little bit in the beginning. But then it
I could see how
also
that.
it
Go
it
ahead.
also prepped me for knowing that there was more to the story
Yeah.
probably the whole time and that I wouldn't learn the whole story till I got to the end. So that is one of the reasons that I wanted to finish and get to the end so that I could wrap up the story because, I knew things based on that prompt, or based on that intro that the story was not going to be as it appeared.
That that makes a lot of sense now because fun fact is I skipped that part.
Is that 1 year later at the end?
Yes, so I don't typically read prologues, and I didn't. So I had no idea, and I think that that made an impact on how I read the ending because for me it almost felt like whiplash. I was like, "Whoa, what?" But for you, it kind of makes more sense because you knew there was something going on.
Yes.
Like you had an idea that this is not the full story. For me, I thought she wrapped it up in a beautiful little bow and it was going to be the end. But then it
Yeah,
completely
see, I knew.
changed.
I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it can't be that clean. And the whole time I'm like, I don't know about, this like, Anton and Lisa thing. Like, I don't think that they're like this is the whole truth. Like, I feel like this is because each their version of the
Yes.
chapter. So
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who was most believable,
Right.
whose stories as they narrated it sounded most truthful. And I was more of a fan of Amy.
Yeah.
Like she seemed a little bit more like real and raw and, showed her flaws and was messy. So I tended to say, well, I mean, it's not Amy. So I would have been really like floored at the end if it was, but
Was Amy. Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. I did like Amy. I did like her. I feel like she was almost kind of like the least interesting to me until the end.
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, "Oh, look at Amy, you go, Amy. So, kind of along those lines, which of the many plot twists in this novel surprised you the most, Julie? Was it the revelation about Scott's past, Lisa's attack on Gwen, or their final confession in the epilogue?
I think that it was like the revelation of Scott
Mm-hmm.
because, he reminded me of Gary, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
straight and narrow and, good husband, good father, good provider, reliable, could be perceived maybe as somewhat boring, right?
Uh-huh.
Not a lot of like crazy stuff. So I liked that plot twist the most as well because I was like, of course, of course Scott has skeletons in his closet. Um, I mean, I guess that surprised me the most. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Scott has
Sorry.
skeletons. No, it's all right. Scott has skeletons in his closet, but man, those are some skeletons, right? Like, I was floored. I was floored. And this is kind of pushing ahead, but, Scott initially, once everything comes out, right? Scott initially plans to abandon his family rather than face jail time, but later he turns himself in. What are your thoughts? When we thought Scott was going to just abandon his family and like wipe off the face of the earth, I was so mad.
See, and I was like, nope, he's not going to do that. Like it's not going to happen. Like, I know that's not going to happen. He's like, that's too easy of a story. And, you would have really misread that character. And Amy would have really misread her husband for
Right.
however many years they were married
Yeah.
to think that he's the type of person that would save himself first. Although, so I did not recently, but last year and this year, read the first time I saw him and the last thing he told me, which she ended up writing a sequel to the first book because it was so popular. And, if you're reading those or plan to read those, or, even you may have watched the Jennifer Garner series on Apple, which is an adaptation of the books, which I have recently just seen after reading the books and someone telling me it was on TV. I don't want a spoiler alert for you, but to save his family, he left his family.
Right.
So it made me think, well, it may be like there's got to be more behind this. Like it may be the only way to protect his family is to distance himself from his family. So
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I can't believe that cad, left his family. I was like, there is definitely more to this story.
Yeah, see, and I took it for what it was saying, right? And I was like, "What? How dare he? He's a big coward, you big baby."
What's our next conversational thing? Let's see. The friendship between Amy, Lisa, and Gwen is a full competition, judgment, unspoken resentment. Thinking about friendships you've observed, and then part of what ways did their dynamic feel realistic to you? Hmm. I mean,
So it didn't feel realistic to me. I was like, the only part I could kind of get behind is when your kids are going to the same school, right? They're starting the same grades or they're playmates in the community. And so sometimes it can be like this friendship by convenience, like you're
right,
just automatically kind of not forced to be, I mean, sometimes forced to be friends. I've had a lot of friendships that's how they started, and I'm really grateful for them. So I don't want it to sound like that.
right,
But I could get behind that. Like they kind of it all just kind of fit. Like they all had husbands, right? They all had young kids in varying ages, but mostly around the same age group. And they all lived in close proximity. So why wouldn't you be friends?
right. Yeah, I
Again,
guess.
it was like it's like my sister's neighborhood. They're all close friends and they all have kids the same age.
Yeah, but do they like each other?
Yeah, they do. They're actually friends, yeah. You're right. So a little bit
Like,
different.
who's sleeping with the other's husband?
Oh
That's my
my
question.
goodness. I tried to ask her, and she said it's not happening. I said, "Okay, whatever you say." Just joking. Yeah, I thought, Amy is this she has her own business, right? So Amy is this gardener that
Right.
has a big landscaping business. Lisa is the influencer, right?
Yeah, or like life coach,
Yes, but she has the YouTube show, right?
YouTube show?
Yeah, remember she had a baking YouTube show?
Baking?
Yeah,
No.
she had a baking YouTube show. Am I reading the wrong book?
I
Did I just mash up books in my head? I feel like I just did.
I'm like, I am not recalling anything about this. So I,
Let's see. I swear it was. Maybe I just mashed up books. It'd be kind of interesting. Oh no, you know what? That's a different book. I just read another book, kind of same type of suburban-y thing. Oh, what book was that? Oh my gosh. I've got no brain. That's hilarious. Okay, so Lisa
I was
was
like,
not.
I don't recall. Like Lisa was like, I think like a life. So Lisa was a life coach.
She's like a part-time life coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And is not an influencer that has a baking show.
I don't think so.
That is a different book. What are you typing?
I was typing, what does each woman do? Because I don't remember what Gwen does. Gwen was like a marketing person,
Yes, Gwen
like
was a marketing person.
publicist, or I don't know, something to do with marketing, like
Yes.
an ad agency or a marketing agency.
Yes.
Um, and I don't know if Lisa did anything. I mean, I don't know what she did. Mm. I don't remember what she did except the life coach thing.
Yeah, I think she was a life coach.
Okay.
Okay.
Where were we going with that?
So their friendship, I guess if you could call it,
Right.
between Amy, Lisa, and Gwen is tumultuous, right? Like,
Right.
so what ends up happening in the end is Amy and Scott, they're a couple, right? And they don't end up cheating on each other.
Right.
And then Lisa, and who was her husband?
Marcus.
Marcus. Marcus and Gwen get together, right?
No. Gwen's husband. Hold on. Gwen's husband was Marcus.
Yes.
Because he was the one that was killed.
Anton wasn't killed?
Oh yeah. So yeah. So Anton was with Gwen and Marcus was with Lisa. But then in the end, Gwen and Marcus were together
Yes.
in
So it
jail.
was Amy and Scott,
Right?
Antoine and Gwen, Anton and Gwen,
Right?
and Marcus and Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
Anton gets killed. He's the one that gets killed.
Right.
Gwen ends up with Marcus.
Yep.
What does Lisa end up with? She goes to jail. Did she
She
go to jail?
dies.
She
Did
dies.
you even read this book?
Yes, it's early.
See, now often I question MaryAnn how she reads her books so fast.
It's because I skip details. No, it was because that ending really threw me for a loop because I never read the prologue.
Gwen killed Lisa. Yeah, but it still happened.
And who killed Anton?
Marcus and Gwen.
So Marcus and Gwen
Marcus.
are really the villains.
Yes, and I think yes. So I think that I probably have to go back and read that key point, but I think Gwen was the one who was driving the car.
That killed Anton.
Yeah, I call him Anton, but yeah.
Anton.
Right. But it was her and Marcus. She was like the mastermind.
Right. And then at the very end, she dumbingly confesses it all, essentially.
Yes, to her bestie,
Amy.
Amy,
So the underdog, the
which was kind
boring.
of stupid, but
Yeah, it was kind of stupid. I don't know why she did that. Well,
trust
obviously.
no one.
Yeah. She trusted Amy thinking that Amy was like her bestie and like was this,
And a dummy.
yeah, like meek dummy.
Right.
And she wasn't, because Amy and Lisa were really good friends.
Yes, and Gwen
Was the newcomer.
was the newcomer, and she led us to believe throughout the story that they moved from somewhere else,
Yes.
for reasons.
Right.
Her husband cheating on her,
Right.
etc.
Yeah, see, this is the book. So it's very plot twisty. This is why at the end it felt sort of like whiplash to me. And I was
Uh-huh.
reading some Reddit like posts about it, Reddit forums, and some people said the same thing. They were like, it was good, it was really good, but it almost like you almost had to pause and reread parts because you're like, wait, what? Who just happened? Especially because there's 6 characters at play.
Yeah, you have to be able to really follow the characters.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, I didn't feel like whiplash at the end because I knew something was going to be revealed. And I always pre-look at books to see if there is an epilogue. And
Really?
yeah, because I don't like books that don't have an epilogue. I want to hear the follow-up. Like, I want to know
Ah.
1 year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. Like, I'm invested in the character.
Yeah,
So I want it to be tied up in a neat bow. And usually like the epilogue will do that for you.
I see. Okay. Yeah, and I will always read the epilogue, but I never read the prologue because I'm like, all right, let's get into it.
Yeah, I always read it because it sets the stage.
Well, so that's like when it says like read the directions before you start, right? Like on
Yeah.
the Did you ever
Yes.
have those in like school where it would try to trick you?
Yes.
And they were like, "Oh, you didn't read the directions, la la
Right.
la."
Right.
So I shouldn't have gotten ahead of myself. I mean, overall, I thought it was a good book. I don't know how they would adapt it to TV.
Yeah, I don't know if I've read that they're going to adapt it to
I
TV, but I think it would be pretty easy. I mean, it's like all those other, murder,
Yeah. But I also
like,
feel like it would be you'd have to be invested in the series because
what
there
was
is
that
so
show with the
much.
women? It's very like Stepford Wifey,
Uh,
or, the ones that had, is it Desperate Housewives? No, what
yeah,
was,
yeah, right? They were all military based, right?
no,
Striking out this morning.
yeah, Desperate Housewives.
See, look. Oh, but they weren't military based. What was the
No,
one that was military
that was
based?
another one. I don't remember. Army Wives, right? I think that was Army Wives with, what was that actress? I liked that show. I don't remember her name. I could see her face, but yeah. But Desperate Housewives was a little more Stepford wifey, living in that, kind of neighborhood where their yards have to look the same. You know what I mean? That
Right.
they, have to run by like the HOA what color they're going to paint their house. They can't have, maybe like blow up Christmas decorations on their lawn.
Inflatables. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. And that's what it reminded me of, like something more like that. I guess, what, the one thing that bothered me about it was like why Amy digging in and refusing to like believe what was being presented to her like right up front with about her husband. She like went off the rails. Like she became a totally different person.
Well, I think it would be because, like you were comparing Scott, right, to Gary. Like if somebody tried to come to you with that information, you would be like, what? Like you would not. you'd be like, "No, that's not true," you know? So I could see
Yeah, but
that
she
because
was, like, super aggressive. Like, the way she would snap, like, when her and Gwen were in the car, and she's,
yeah,
like, essentially like, "I don't have time to deal with your problems, I'm dealing with my problems."
right.
And, she was very, like, snappy, which I thought, was I don't know. I mean, so I thought, like, well, if it was me, like, what would I be like? Would I turn into, like, a psycho? Maybe I would.
Yeah, maybe
I
because
right.
your whole life might unravel in one fell swoop.
No, I don't know what you rated it in your Goodreads. I rated it a 4 star because I rate very few books 5 star. 4 is usually my highest, and 3 means I enjoyed it. They mostly all fall in the 3 range to 4 range. Um, I probably have rated 3 books 5 star, maybe 4 in the last year and a half since I've been reading
Yes.
regularly. But what I liked about it is I like something that's fast paced and kind of like an easy read, a page turner. It makes me want to see what's going to happen. Uh,
Right.
like, what's gonna happen? It's keeping me engaged. There's, like, plot twists. I mean, why I didn't rate it as 5 star probably is, it did feel rushed, and I enjoy a book that, explores a little bit more of, like, the depth of the person and, like, emotional consequences, and a little bit deeper, and, it was like a suspenseful beach read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not one of my heavy books,
No,
which you need. I
not
only
like a
read
Kristen Hannah.
no, which I just started The Nightingale,
You
and mm,
we were supposed to start it together.
I told you I was starting it. I texted you and said, "My next book's Nightingale, I'm
But
starting it."
then I thought you were gonna wait till fall because it felt like more of a fall book.
Yeah, I really felt like I needed a Kristen Hanna book now.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
it is not a summer read. Kristen Hanna books in my mind are not summer reads. However, I have like 6 summer reads on my list, and I don't want to wait to read this book till fall. So I started it, and I'm at like chapter 12. I started it on Wednesday.
You've let me down.
I mean, you read books faster than me, so
But I guess am I retaining the information? I must be matching it all up. But
so
maybe that's what I use books for. Like I just use them as like an escape, right? Like a temporary escape. And so I don't necessarily need to retain all of it, which I think is okay, you know? Like it's not like I'm studying the material to take a test, right? I'm not in school.
yeah,
So maybe
I mean,
it's
our personalities are different.
that's true. Yeah, I would say that fun fact is I give almost every book I read on Goodreads a 4 star.
Yeah.
And then I usually go back and I'm like, "Oh, that one was really good." There's a few books that I typically end up recommending to other people, and then some I just don't.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it. Again, the ending for me was a little bit of whiplash, but I'm reading another book from her, so obviously I've
Yeah, so
liked
you
it
must
enough.
have enjoyed her. Yeah. How
Yeah,
is how is
and
this next book? I mean, it's not a page turner. You haven't finished it yet.
well, it's because I've had to take care of like things in my house, so that's unfortunate. Maybe I'll pick it back up this afternoon and then really rip through it. This one is good. It's basically based on 2 separate, like, accidents that happened, like, 20 years ago, and then almost the identical type of accident that happened again. Um, and it involves, like, friends and, like, friends' kids, and the locale is Dewey Beach, in Delaware. So it's sort of all that same type of geographical location, which is cool. But I've liked it. I've liked it. We'll
Good.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
see.
For me, Kristen Hanna is still laying the foundation of the Nightingale. So it's not
Yeah.
into the part of like, oh my gosh, what happens next? I'm
Yeah.
invested in these characters. And I will say she takes a good long time to lay the foundation of the characters. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the book, I'm like, oh my God, I have to finish this
Right.
as soon as possible. So I know this about her books. And so, I'm hoping that I like it as much as I'm expecting to like it, but
Right.
I don't want to, set myself up either, for being like, this is going to be my favorite book yet. And then I'm like, wah, 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 Kristen Hanna, this was like, this does not rank, with the women or The Great Alone at all.
Right.
However, everything I read, I would be one of the few people that say that.
Did you read The Winter Garden by her?
Mm.
Okay, so that is one that I read. Maybe you should read that in winter. It's kind of nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. I
Okay.
didn't read The Great Alone. I've heard about it and I wanted to. But again, those books, I feel like just because the heaviness and like how long they are, I feel like they feel like I need to be reading them in like fall or winter.
Uh-huh.
But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I'll pick one up. No, if
Well,
I
the
can
one
get
funny thing
Julie to.
is, I
Oh,
was
go ahead.
gonna, didn't own the Nightingale. And so I was just gonna do the audio book because I didn't want to buy it because, I keep buying books and I wasn't sure if my mom would like it and whatever. So I was, at my working league meeting and my mom said, well, just go to the library and see if they have the book. And I said,
Yeah.
there's no way that, the big library is going to have it because it's a very popular book. And so we were driving, in Georgetown and the library is open 3 days a week, maybe 4 in the summer. I can't remember. And she said, the library's open in Georgetown. You should stop and see if they have that book that you want. And I'm like,
Yeah.
they're not going to have that book. I'm like, it's probably out. Somebody's probably reading it. So I talked to my friend Karen, who's the librarian, and she's one who with you sparked my get reading, you know,
Right.
era
Endeavor.
last
Yep.
year. And I said, do you have the Nightingale at the library? She's like, of course we do. And I'm like, you don't think it's out? And she's like, no. And I'm like, really? And I said, because, the Bath Brunswick libraries don't have it. And she goes, that's why you have to come to your local library. And so she got it for me. She went to the library while it was closed and got it for me and left it on her porch so I could bring it with me to work
Wow.
so that I could, read the
Yeah.
actual book because, I like to read the book and I always like to read the ending of a book. Like I
Yeah. Yeah.
don't want to listen to the ending. I want to
Yeah.
read it with my own eyes and my own voice in my head rather than
Right.
someone else's voice.
You got a library hookup. That's nice, man.
I know. So
Real nice.
I'm hoping I can get through it. I don't know how long it'll take me. It's a little bit of a bigger book.
Yeah.
But yeah, follow us along. Let us know if you need any summer reading recommendations. We're here for it.
Yeah, take a look at our show notes. We have our book lists there, and you can buy directly from our list, which is great. And we'll keep you posted on what our next book is.
Bye. We'll see you next time here live in the SpaHive. Bye.
Bye, Julie. Bye, listeners.
Thank you so much for joining us today in the SpaHive.
If this episode sparked an idea, made you think differently, or just made you feel a little less alone in business or life, share it with someone who might need it too.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so you never miss a conversation.
And check out the show notes for links, resources, and ways to stay connected with us, including the Spa 101 course taught by our very own Julie Pinky.
We're so grateful you're part of this community.
and we'll see you next time.